I'm Mark Bode, and this is my art. These are all the published books that I've done over the last 17, 18 years. I've been a professional cartoonist since I was in high school, and I was very lucky to have a father that was already in the field. His name was Mark Bode, and he created the underground comic field in the early 60s. And I've been carrying on in his footsteps, and these are just a taste of some of the books that I've worked on since he died in 1975. So to this date, I've been working, for different magazines, every kind of magazine actually, from heavy metal to Penthouse to Hustler, whoever will hire me and pay me for what I do. And I've also created many comic books that are quite famous, like Miami Mice, which was a huge hit in the mid-'80s. We sold 180,000 comics in 1 year, and then unfortunately I started getting mice on the brain and I couldn't continue it. It wasn't because of lack of sales though that I stopped. I've also worked on friends of mine who have comic books, like Larry Wells, who does Cherry. I've worked on Taboo for my friend Steve Bissett, and I've also done covers for the Gauntlet magazine, which is nationally distributed. And I've also worked for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with my friend Kevin Eastman and my friend Eric Talbot. And enough yibber yabber, but I want to get on to some drawing, and this is what this is all about. This drawing class I'm about to do is something I've done for the Words and Pictures Museum. I usually do it in front of a crowd of angry children, and they usually actually aren't so angry by the end of the class. They usually can draw, and I found that between the ages of 5 and 12, the kids all can draw amazingly well. And after that, they start realizing, they say, oh, I can't do that, I can't draw. And then I tell them, well, if you can't draw, at least you can draw flies. So that's what I tell them. And they usually don't get it. Probably you don't either, but anyway, I'm going to teach you how to draw today, hopefully. And but first, before I get to doing some drawing, I want to tell you about some stuff that you should have. Well, let's see, these are some books that you should have for reference. Everybody should have these books, because Anatomy by Bern Hogarth, and he shows you everything, how to draw faces in different styles, how to draw muscles. It's just amazing. This guy knows everything. Little too good for his own good. But this is dynamic shadow and light, and all this stuff is just amazing. This stuff will give you a good basis. And here's how to draw hands, in case you don't know how to draw hands like me. You can draw hands by Bern Hogarth, This is a good book. and the Maximilian Visual Dictionary. This is a hardcover. This one costs about $60, but you can get a paperback version for about 20. And it has pictures of just about everything you'd ever want to draw. Very well illustrated, from baby clothes to bikes to railroad tracks to guillotines or whatever turns you on. And then last of all, we have the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. This is a great book. It shows you how to draw the characters in action, and it also shows you how to lay out panels and stuff like that. So I'm not going to teach you too much about that. You can get this book if you really want it, but myself, who needs it? So we're gonna get on some drawing here, and here we go. Let's see, what do you want it to draw? Well, you can draw pretty much anything from your brain once you have studied long enough. And so, let's say I want to draw slow, because if you want to draw along with this, you could get a piece of paper and a pen and just follow along with what I do. I'm going to do something simple like a bird. And I'll start with a circle. And just simple circle, upper part of the page. If you run out of room, it's no problem. And I like to draw a line through the middle. And then the pupil. Now this could be a lizard, could be a mouse, it could be anything at this point. But I'm going to make it a bird. See, it's a tricky, spiffy trickster. That's what I like to call it. And let's put a little bit of hair on the back of his head. And a little bit of a lip. And let's see, put another eyeball in the back. Let's give him a pot belly, because these guys eat well. You don't want skinny characters. Skinny characters, might have some kind of disorder or something. So, and everybody likes to see a nice little plump character, so they're just cuter. So, so let's go. We got the arm. We got the arm here, and then you come around, do the back. Okay. Next, we got the feet. This guy's got 2 toes. And a little, kind of a chicken foot. See? You put a nail on him like that. These pens, they're not meant to last forever. In fact, I've got to go to the art store soon and get more pens. I think these things are about shot. When you're drawing these things, you should be thinking about what the next thing you want to do. Like you could design a character like this, and what's he gonna do? What's his, does he have a buddy? Does he, or is he a loner? And he could have a friend, and his friend could be a mouse. Maybe 2 circles, line across, pretty easy stuff. Even you can draw flies. Okay, here we go with that's gonna be a mouse character, see? And I like to give them a little bit of fur because that makes them cute. And give them let's give him a hat. And then put his ears on. And I might be drawing a little fast for you, but if you're trying to follow along, but you could always videotape it in slow-mo, and you'll know all the secrets. I'm drawing a mouse. Okay, here we go. Big pot belly, maybe a t-shirt. This is how I draw sneakers. Now, a lot of characters I draw, they have personalities, and you know, when you're writing a story or something, you want to think about, well, what is the personality of this character? And I tend to think this guy is a vandal. He probably burns people's houses down. You know, his friends especially, he messes with. Maybe he's been arrested a few times. You know, maybe he's wanted in all the comic worlds simultaneously. Or maybe he's just a real nice guy. I don't know. But you gotta figure out this stuff before you write a story for them. So we have two characters, and now they can start to have a relationship. Like, you know, the bird character is the stupid character, and he's the New York, you know, troublemaker, you know, vandal, and he's the country bumpkin bird, and the two of them get together and take advantage of each other, and they start stories, and you can start to write your stories, and you can. The next part would be to take your characters that you've drawn, and then try to figure out a script. Now, a script can come out of your head. You usually have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, if you're writing a story, start from the middle, and then, you know, your main action is right in the middle of the story, and then build how you got to that point and what happened after that point. And that'll give you a nice solid story that'll hang together because you started from the middle. You didn't start at the beginning and run out of ideas by the time you got to the end. And after that, after you got a plot, then you can start doing thumbnails. Now these thumbnails are, you know, probably not many people could understand them but me, but what it is a panel breakdown page by page of each action that I've written in a story. And there's 3 panels here, a big splash panel, and a big splash panel on top, 4 on the bottom. And then it gets more intense as you have more dialogue and more action. You have to have more and more panels. It's good not to have too many panels, because then it just gets confusing to your audience. And see, for instance, this is one of those pages. Yes, this one right here is this one. The next step from the thumbnail is doing your pencil. And here's where Cobalt 60 is blowing away all these radio soldiers, just mowing them down. He's running across and they're trying to machine gun him down. and then the bad guys are making their escape. And after this, it goes to ink and coloring, which usually ends up looking like like a finished piece of art. This is something I did for the Beastie Boys, but they didn't pay me. They kind of they just they had me do a bunch of work for them, and they didn't give me squat, so I kind of pissed off about them. Just wanted to throw that in. Bastards. So anyway, this I'm working on a couple other things. This is a style change for me. Nobody's seen this actually at the time of this filming, but this is a mock-up for a page from The Crow, which I'm working on, which has become a movie, and my good friend James O'Barr asked me to do an issue of The Crow, and so I've made a young prostitute into a girl who's been killed, and then she comes back. She gets the spirit of the crow and comes back to kill all the people who did her wrong, and justice is served. But these are mock-up pages just to show that I can do the style, which some publishers need. And, especially with me, because I have several styles and very cartoony at that. So I try my best to spread myself around. Next thing is we got one other thing to look at. This story is somebody's written by this guy Doug Wheeler, and it's a story of Chicken Licken. And Chicken Licken was pecking at some worms when a particle of ultraviolet smacked her in the head, and then she's like, "The ozone is falling. I must tell Biggie Piggy to stop his polluting, or we'll all die of cancer." And then she goes talking to Biggie Piggy and saying the ozone's falling, and he's just he said, "Don't worry about that lump on your head. It won't matter nothing, amount to nothing. And it's not my fault the ozone is falling. I'm doing my best to stop the sun from coming through." So he continues, and meanwhile her head is getting bigger and bigger, and she's trying to tell the senator that the ozone is falling, and there's this huge cancerous growth on my head, and he says, "I can't see a thing. It's a prerequisite for my job." So he's like, he's a senator and he can't see, However, there is a which oversees the committee to establish, with the establishment of the new committees, and you can go check with them. And meanwhile, she's like getting bigger and bigger, and she talks to Quickie Slicky, the president, and the president has got UV protection hat on and putting sunblock on, and finally says to go away. She's that thing on your head is nothing to worry about, and finally she gets so big that she can't even move, and they serve her up for chicken, some KFJ chicken, and all the mutated family enjoys. Tastes better. Tastes better out of the side of your head, Mama says. So that's just one strip, but I think we're just about out of time, but maybe we can do one last drawing. I'm going to do it with a pen that has a little more juice to it. Let's see. Well, how about this? I'll draw a character I haven't drawn in a long time. This is the Miami Mice. These characters treated me really well. I mean, after I did this book, I was able to buy a house and a brand new car, all the stuff that cartoonists aren't supposed to have. You know, the government hates artists because they make pieces of paper worth nothing into $100 bills, and they can't figure that out. They hate that stuff. And that's one of the things that why the arts keep suffering is because people just can't seem to harness your income, and it's almost nearly impossible for anybody to know what their income is going to be year to year when you're a cartoonist. And it's a very hard field to get into, but if your style prevails, if you have your own unique style, you will get jobs, and you'll be turned down, but you just keep going. You know, you keep doing it for yourself, and eventually you'll get something published. Or you can self-publish. You can just go down to a Xerox place and self-publish your own material, and just make the spines, and to do the first page and the last page, and then vice versa, and you just collate them, and you don't have to worry about a publisher, because publishers can turn you down, and this happens all the time. But this character here was a big deal back in the 80s. But I started hunting mice under my drawing board in the middle of the night because I was doing so many mice blowing away each other. I actually found myself underneath my drawing board with my BB gun hunting mice that were running underneath my board. And I looked at myself and I said, "What are you doing? You're losing it, Bode." And after that, I stopped drawing Miami Mice because I just figured it would drive me absolutely mad. And the sales were still there. It was a good thing, but I was spoiled by my father's worlds, which were so much less earthbound. And I like that because you can go anywhere in the universe and do anything you want in your mind. And if you're into superheroes and all that stuff, sometimes that stuff's so earthbound, you just can't fly with it. And so the idea is to free your mind and go into your own universe and create your own universe and live there, because it really does exist. So, thank you.